I've won 40 of 69 complimentary plays in all sports combined over the past 3.5 weeks. And this, guys, is going to be your Sunday video report. I'm Al DeMarco, General Manager of the world's largest online sports handicapping website in the world, VegasSportsAdvisors.com. I've been a professional handicapper for over 20 years now, but started my career as a sports reporter. Spent 8 years on the field, in locker rooms, covering players, coaches, managers, etc. And it's the experience I gained from covering teams and covering those players that has really shaped the way I handicap games. And today on the video report, I'm going to give you a free pick on the NFC wildcard game between Dallas and Detroit, plus a college basketball freebie on your Pac-12 game between Utah and UCLA. Listen, yesterday's games, we saw a road underdog get the job done, with Baltimore winning outright at Pittsburgh, and we saw Carolina take care of business at home as a home favorite. You know, road underdogs, thanks to the Ravens' outright win and the wild card round, are now dead even at 500 versus the odds makers on the spread since the wild card way back in 1978. So it's not like the favorites at home or the road dogs have any decided advantage. It's a 500 proposition, just like gambling is a 50-50 proposition. But the one thing I find most interesting yesterday was the fact of something that I call suspension of disbelief. And that applies to the Arizona-Carolina game. Arizona, just about everybody, I'll be honest with you, at the handicappers at VegasSportsAdvisors.com, were in love with the Cardinals. So much of the gambling public yesterday was hammering Arizona like there was no end. Because Arizona, oh my goodness, this Arizona team that was so good on the road, so good as an underdog under Bruce Arians the past 2 years, was getting 6 to 7.5 points, or excuse me, 6.5 to 7 points at Carolina. Totally ignoring the fact that the Arizona team that was playing yesterday was not the Arizona team that you saw 2 months ago. This was an Arizona team its final 6 games of the regular season allowed defensively over 400 yards a game. This was an Arizona team that could no longer run the ball because Andre Ellington, their top running back, has been out the past 6-8 weeks and through for the season. And this was a guy who was getting 25 to 30 touches a game. They weren't the same team. This was an Arizona team that was starting a third-string quarterback in Ryan Lindley, a guy who was 1-5 straight up as a starter in his career as a backup, a journeyman at best, with a quarterback passer rating of like a little over 52%. First half yesterday, it looked like a genius play if you were betting Arizona. But the suspension of disbelief comes into the fact and comes into play, that principle. You totally ignored all the downside for Arizona, and you also totally ignored Carolina's upside and the fact that the Panthers had won 4 straight games to close the season, giving up just 42 points in that game. Now, granted, the 4 teams they beat, as I pointed out in yesterday's video report, were watching the games on TV just like you and I yesterday, but it didn't matter. As I've said repeatedly, the type of teams that I'm looking for in the postseason are those that started the season fast, hit a little mid-season swoon, and then continued up the ladder as the regular season ended. Or I'm looking for teams that ended the season, no matter what they did the first 8, 10, 12 weeks, ended the season on an upswing, like Carolina, winners of 4 in a row, playing at home. It didn't matter the fact that they were 7-9. But I think most gamblers and so many handicappers just couldn't get that 7-9 record out of their minds, and they got suckered into playing Arizona. Granted, again, first half, it looked like a genius play, but they play 2 halves in a football game. So it's suspension of disbelief. And it's something that I always consider when I'm handicapping a game and it looks too good to be true. Just too easy. The lock of all locks. Sometimes when that little voice is screaming, bet me, bet me, bet me, in my ear, I immediately look and go, am I missing something? I mean, and I try to pull the veil back from the game and analyze it even closer. Listen, today, Dallas and Detroit. My best bet is actually the Cincinnati-Indianapolis game, and you can get that play, plus the plays of all the handicappers over at VegasSportsAdvisors.com today for free, if you'd like, over $1,000 of action, and free means free, by checking out the one-day free all-access pass. I do it because I think it's a great way for those of you out there that have never maybe used a handicapper or have been burned by the con men, the salespeople, the guys with those 800 numbers with New York accents wanting your second mortgage, your firstborn, and your car payments sent to them in advance. You know, those guys who have given this entire sports handicapping industry such a black eye the past 3 decades. I do it because I think it's a great way for you to sample everybody's wares without any obligation. without spending anything. So in a business where everybody wants something up front, I don't want anything. I don't want your name. I don't care who you are. You go to VegasSportsAdvisors.com, you click on the 1-day free all access pass, and within a couple of seconds, you are going to have all our plays for free. And again, free means free. So I can't offer you anything more than that. As I always say, the only way you don't win is if you don't take advantage of something that's absolutely free. Now let's get to your games today. Dallas, Detroit. Well, certainly the Cowboys are one of those teams that fits into my scenario of starting fast, hitting a little midseason swoon when Tony Romo was hurt, and then closing strong. Look at how this team closed the regular season, especially offensively. Since they laid that big egg on Thanksgiving at home against against Philadelphia, I mean, they've been a scoring machine. They've won 4 straight games and they scored 41, 38, 42, and 44 points in those 4 straight wins. In fact, if you take away the Eagles game, or actually you include the Eagles game, that poor performance, other than that game, they scored 31 or more points in 6 of their final 7 games. Again, with the Eagles game being the exception. Now, I look at this Detroit team, and the Lions just don't do it for me on the road. Lions road wins this season. Bears, Falcons, Vikings, and Jets. Again, just like Carolina's victims in their final 4-game winning streak to end the regular season. They will all be watching the games on TV just like us today, okay? How did they do in other road games? Well, at Carolina, at Arizona, at New England, and Green Bay, they scored a total of 42 points. 42 points in 4 games. This is a one-dimensional Detroit team. They can't run the ball. That means all the pressure is on Matthew Stafford and Calvin Johnson. Hey, that's a dynamic duo, okay? That's a great pass and catch combo. But the fact is, Matthew Stafford is 0-16 straight up in his career against teams with winning records. Think about that. 0-16. Yes, it's a 6.5 to 7-point number here, but I think it's because people are in love with the Lions and their defense. I say if the Lions can't score any points, it doesn't really matter today. And this is not a one-dimensional Cowboys team as we've seen all season. DeMarco Murray, Tony Romo, they can get the job done. And I'm going to go with the more balanced offensive attack and back Dallas today. Listen, the line's 6.5 to 7. If the line goes up to 7 or 7.5, either situation, you've got to buy down the half point in those particular instances. It's the wise financial strategy. Okay, college basketball today. I see Utah as a 12-point favorite at home against UCLA because everybody's going against UCLA. They see the Bruins, their last game and their Pac-12 opener on the road a couple of nights ago. They go to Colorado. They open up the big lead. They fold like a cheap suit, and they manage to lose the game and fail to cover by a point. That's their 4th straight loss. But let's also give them a little bit of a break here. I mean, they lost to Gonzaga at home, top 10 team. They lost to Kentucky on the road. I had the Wildcats that day as one of my best bets of the entire season. They won by 41 points. There's a reason Kentucky is number 1 in the country. You know what I mean? But this Utah team, everybody sees them. Oh, my goodness, they crushed USC the other night at home in their Pac-12 home opener, 79-55. They played Kansas tough, 3-point road loss, although I think they were down by 22 points at one point in that particular game. They shocked the Wichita State Shockers at home earlier this year, ending like their 35-game regular season winning streak. And they're a very good defensive team. But this is a desperate UCLA team. Granted, a desperate UCLA team that has been shooting miserably during the 4-game losing streak, hitting only 32.4% of their shots and averaging just 56 points a game. But a desperate team nonetheless, as Steve Alford is suddenly, well, actually he's been under fire for a year and a half. But they are really coming down on him hard in Bruins country. Can Utah cover the 12 points? Yeah, they might. But this is not an offensive team. This is a Utes team that gets it done defensively. Against a desperate UCLA team, I see this game being somewhere like 66-62. I see Utah managing to win this game maybe by 6 to 8 points, but not by 12, not by 13. So I've got to grab the points with Utah and with UCLA and take the Bruins as the road pup. And putting them together with the Dallas Cowboys at home, those are your 2 free selections for Sunday. Remember, you can catch my daily video report and that of Brandon Lang, whose life as a professional handicapper was immortalized by Hollywood in the 2005 major motion picture Two for the Money, starring Al Pacino and Matthew McConaughey, who played Lang. You can get his daily video report as well for free, no purchase necessary, no registration required, over at VegasSportsAdvisors.com. Best of luck to you guys, and I will be joining you again here tomorrow on Roku, as I do 365 days a year. Good luck, everybody.